be eating less than you did 10 years ago. You may have replaced bread with salad, dessert with fruit, and evenings on the couch with 30 minutes on a treadmill. But somehow your stomach still seems to enter the room before the rest of you. That does not automatically mean you lack discipline. And it does not mean your body has suddenly become incapable of losing fat. But after 50, the rules begin to change. Not because calories stop mattering, they still matter. The problem is that aging can change how many calories you use, how hungry you feel, where your body tends to store fat, and how much muscle you carry while losing weight. Think of it like driving the same car after several parts have quietly changed. You can keep pressing the same pedals, but the car may no longer respond the way it once did. And the first hidden reason is one most people never see on the bathroom scale. Reason number 1, you are losing your metabolic storage space. Most people think muscle is mainly for lifting weights or looking athletic, but muscle is also active tissue. It helps you stand, climb stairs, carry groceries, and handle glucose from the food you eat. Imagine your muscles as a network of storage tanks. After a meal, some of the glucose circulating in your blood can be taken into muscle cells and used or stored for later. But as you age, muscle mass and strength can gradually decline, especially when you are inactive, dieting repeatedly, or avoiding resistance exercise. Now, the storage tanks are smaller. You may still eat approximately the same breakfast, but your body has less active tissue available to use that energy. This does not mean every extra carbohydrate instantly becomes belly fat. It means your margin for inactivity and overeating may become smaller than it was in your 30s. And here's the trap. Many people respond by eating even less. Their weight falls, but part of what they lose may be muscle. The number on the scale improves while the body becomes less capable of using energy efficiently. The smarter goal after 50 is not simply to become lighter. It is to reduce fat while giving your body a reason to keep its muscle. That means including resistance training at least twice a week when medically appropriate. Squats to a chair, wall push-ups, resistance band rows, and controlled lifting can all provide that signal. Protein also matters, but protein alone is not magic. Your muscles need both building material and a reason to rebuild. And that leads to the second hidden problem. You may be exercising, but spending the rest of the day almost completely still. Age-related muscle loss, lower activity, and changes in body composition can make weight control more difficult. Regular physical activity and muscle strengthening work are recommended for older adults, with exercises adapted to the person's health and ability. Reason number 2, your workout cannot cancel an inactive day. Picture 2 people who both exercise for 30 minutes. The first person walks after meals, cooks dinner, takes the stairs, gardens, and gets up regularly throughout the day. The second person completes the same workout, but spends the next 10 hours sitting. On paper, both people exercised, but their total daily movement is very different. This is the part many people miss. Formal exercise is only one piece of daily energy use. There is also all the movement that happens outside a workout. Standing, cleaning, carrying bags, walking through a store, playing with grandchildren, and getting up from a chair. After 50, joint discomfort, retirement, driving more, working from home, or losing an active routine can quietly remove hundreds of small movements from the day. Nothing dramatic happens. You simply sit a little longer each year. A 30-minute workout is valuable, but it does not make the other 23.5 hours irrelevant. The solution is not to spend your life exercising. It is to stop allowing long stretches of stillness to dominate your day. Try walking for 5 to 10 minutes after 1 or 2 meals. Stand up during television breaks. Carry smaller grocery bags in separate trips. Park slightly farther from the entrance. Use a timer to remind yourself to move every 30 to 60 minutes. These actions may look too small to matter, but small movements repeated every day can become more sustainable than one punishing workout followed by exhaustion. And now we reach a reason that can make even a small meal surprisingly powerful. Physical activity helps prevent and manage several chronic conditions, while prolonged inactivity and low total activity contribute to weight-related risk. Adults are generally advised to accumulate aerobic activity and strengthen major muscle groups on at least 2 days per week, adjusted for individual ability. Reason number 3, your food is small in volume but large in energy. Many people say, I barely eat anything, and they may be telling the truth. Their plate does not look large. The problem is that the amount of space a food occupies is not the same as the amount of energy it contains. A few spoonfuls of oil can disappear into a salad. Nuts can be eaten by the handful without feeling like a meal. Sweetened coffee can go down like water. Alcohol does not require chewing, yet it still adds energy. Crackers, pastries, chips, and many highly processed snacks are easy to eat quickly and may not create the same fullness as a meal built around protein, vegetables, beans, fruit, or minimally processed grains. So a person may eat a tiny breakfast, become ravenous by late afternoon, and then consume most of the day's energy while standing in the kitchen. This is not a character flaw. It is often the predictable result of meals that are physically small, low in protein, low in fiber, and easy to digest rapidly. But here is where many diets go wrong. They simply remove more food. A better strategy is to increase the fullness you receive from the calories you are already eating. Build each main meal around a visible protein source. Add vegetables, fruit, beans, or another fiber-rich food. Choose water, unsweetened tea, or coffee more often than sweetened drinks. Measure oils, spreads, and calorie-dense snacks instead of pouring them automatically. You do not need a perfect diet. You need meals that keep you satisfied long enough to prevent the evening hunger avalanche. However, even a balanced meal can create a different response when your glucose regulation begins to change. Weight is influenced not only by the amount eaten, but also by food and drink choices, activity, sleep, environment, and other health factors. Energy-dense foods and drinks can add substantial calories without appearing to be large meals. Reason number 4. Your muscles may be responding differently to glucose. Insulin is often described as a fat storage hormone. That description is incomplete. Insulin is more like a key that helps move glucose from the bloodstream into cells where it can be used. But with insulin resistance, the cells in muscle, fat, and the liver do not respond to that signal as effectively as they should. The pancreas may need to release more insulin to manage the same meal. Over time, blood glucose may begin to rise. Age alone does not guarantee insulin resistance, but the risk increases with factors such as a larger waist, physical inactivity, poor sleep, excess body fat, family history, and certain health conditions or medications. And insulin resistance often produces no obvious symptoms. You may feel reasonably normal while your body is working harder behind the scenes. This is why stubborn abdominal fat is not always just a cosmetic problem. A growing waist can sometimes be a signal that metabolic health deserves attention. The practical response is not to fear every carbohydrate. It is to improve the environment in which carbohydrates are eaten. Pair them with protein and fiber. Choose beans, vegetables, intact grains, or whole fruit more often than sugary drinks and heavily refined snacks. Use your muscles shortly after eating. Even a brief, comfortable walk after a meal gives those muscles a reason to take up and use glucose. And if you have a large waist, a family history of diabetes, unusual thirst, frequent urination, or unexplained fatigue, discuss blood glucose testing with a healthcare professional rather than trying to diagnose yourself from a video. The next reason may be working against your glucose, appetite, and movement at the same time. Insulin resistance means cells in muscle, fat, and the liver do not respond to insulin as effectively as they should. Risk rises with age, a larger waist, inactivity, sleep apnea, and certain medications. Although not everyone with these factors develops prediabetes or diabetes. Reason number 5. Poor sleep is making decisions before you wake up. When people think about losing belly fat, they usually think about breakfast, but the process may have started the night before. After a poor night of sleep, the brain does not wake up thinking about long-term metabolic health. It wants quick energy. Sweet coffee becomes more tempting. Exercise feels harder. Cooking feels exhausting. The couch feels magnetic. In other words, sleep does not need to create fat directly to influence your waistline. It can change the decisions that determine what you eat and how much you move. And after 50, sleep may become more fragmented. Some people wake because of pain, stress, hot flashes, night sweats, or frequent urination. Others spend 8 hours in bed but still feel exhausted because of undiagnosed sleep apnea. This is especially important when loud snoring, morning headaches, gasping during sleep, or severe daytime fatigue are present. Do not treat sleep as the reward you receive after completing your health plan. Sleep is part of the plan. Aim for a consistent sleep and wake time. Keep the bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Reduce caffeine later in the day. Bright screens before bed. And if sleep remains poor despite good habits, speak with a healthcare professional. Because when your brain is exhausted, relying on willpower becomes an unfair fight. Adults in their early 60s are generally advised to obtain about 7 to 9 hours of sleep, while adults 65 and older are generally advised to obtain 7 to 8 hours. Adequate, good quality sleep supports weight regulation, metabolism, and cardiovascular health. Reason number 6. Hormonal changes may redirect where fat is stored. This section is particularly important for women approaching or passing through menopause. Many women notice something strange. Weight may not change dramatically, but their shape does. Fat that once appeared more around the hips or thighs begins accumulating closer to the waist. Hormonal changes during menopause can influence fat distribution, making abdominal storage more likely. But hormones are not acting alone. At the same time, sleep may worsen, muscle may decline, and daily movement may fall. That combination can make the waist change faster than the scale. This is why simply eating less may not solve the problem. You could lose several pounds but still dislike the result if much of that loss comes from muscle. Men also experience age-related changes in muscle, activity, and body composition. Although the pattern and medical causes are not identical, the important message is this: hormonal change is not a personal failure, but it is also not a life sentence. You cannot control every hormone. You can control many of the signals your body receives. Strength training tells the body that muscle is still necessary. Walking tells the body that fuel is needed. Protein supports repair. Fiber-rich foods improve fullness. Better sleep helps make all of those actions easier to repeat. The goal is not to fight your age. It is to give your body the signals that modern life has slowly removed. Menopause is commonly associated with changes in body fat distribution, with more weight appearing around the abdomen. Aging, reduced muscle, activity, sleep, diet, and genetics also contribute, so hormonal changes should not be treated as the only cause. Reason number 7. Your diet may be shrinking your muscles faster than your waist. This may be the most frustrating reason of all. You decide to lose weight, so you remove breakfast. Then you remove bread. Then dinner becomes a small salad. At first, the scale moves quickly. You feel encouraged. But soon you feel cold, weak, irritable, and unusually hungry. Your workouts become harder. You move less during the day without realizing it. Eventually, the scale stops moving, and when normal eating returns, the weight comes back. Extreme restriction can reduce body weight, but body weight is not made entirely of fat. Water, stored carbohydrate, and lean tissue can also fall. After 50, losing muscle during a diet is especially costly because muscle supports strength, balance, glucose use, and independent movement. The objective is not the largest calorie deficit you can tolerate. It is the smallest sustainable deficit that still produces progress. Use more than the scale to measure that progress. Track waist circumference. Notice how your clothes fit. Record your walking distance or strength. Ask whether you can rise from a chair more easily than you could 1 month ago. Aim for meals that contain adequate protein and fiber, rather than surviving on tiny portions. Continue resistance training while losing weight. And remember that medication and medical conditions can also influence appetite, weight, and glucose regulation. Glucocorticoids and some psychiatric or other medications, for example, may affect weight or metabolic risk. That does not mean you should stop taking them. It means a medication review with your doctor may reveal a factor that another diet cannot fix. Sometimes the missing solution is not more discipline. It is better medical information. Insulin resistance and weight-related risk can be influenced by sleep apnea, health conditions, and certain medications. Medications should never be stopped or altered without guidance from the prescribing healthcare professional. So why does belly fat become harder to lose after 50? It is rarely one single problem. It may be smaller muscles, less daily movement, energy-dense food, worsening glucose control, poor sleep, hormonal changes, or a diet that is too aggressive to preserve strength. These factors behave like musicians in the same orchestra. One instrument may be quiet. When all 7 begin playing together, the effect becomes impossible to ignore. The answer is not a miracle food. It is not one abdominal exercise. And it is not starving until the scale finally surrenders. Start by protecting your muscle. Move more throughout the day. Build meals that control hunger. Walk after eating when possible. Treat sleep as part of metabolic health. And use a moderate approach you can repeat for months rather than an extreme approach you can tolerate for 6 days. Your body after 50 is not broken. It is responding to the signals it receives. Change those signals consistently, and your body can still become stronger, healthier, and more metabolically capable. Which of these 7 hidden reasons surprised you the most? Was it muscle loss, sleep, insulin resistance, or the possibility that eating too little could be working against you? Write the number in the comments. And if you know someone over 50 who is blaming themselves for stubborn belly fat, share this video with them. Subscribe for more practical, science-based ways to improve strength, weight, and metabolic health after 50. Small changes may not look dramatic today, but repeated long enough, they can completely change the direction your health is moving. Medical disclaimer: This content is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personal medical diagnosis or treatment. Anyone with a medical condition or taking medication should speak with a qualified healthcare professional before making major changes to diet or exercise.